Chapter 27. Payton. Water spews from my mouth. I'm retching onto the crumbling alley street I've crawled onto. Panting, I roll onto my back, blinking into the dying sunlight. I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm coughing and spitting and drenched in plague knows what, but I'm alive. I laugh up at the sky, my whole body shaking with the action. I can practically hear death cursing my name. My ears ring, and I'm trembling from head to toe. Just pulling myself out of the tunnel was... My heart skips a beat, stuttering in my chest. He saved me. He practically lifted me through that grate. I kissed him. Again. And now he's dying at the bottom of a sewer. I scramble to the edge of the grate, frantically scanning the cloudy water. I can just make out the faint outline of his body as it sinks towards the floor of the tunnel. My mind races, my heart following. I could leave him. I could leave him and be done with this, because no one but him could catch me. No one but him could find me again once I disappear. This is my escape. This is my freedom. This is wrong. I pull at my hair, my frustration taking a physical form. If I save him, I may be damning myself. And yet, this is exactly what he did. Saving me has him sinking to his death. I shake my head at my reflection in the murky water, and then I dive into it. It's anything but graceful. My face meets the surface right as I remember that I haven't swum a day in my life. Panic pulses through me, but I push it aside and force my legs to propel me forward. With flailing arms and feet, I manage to swim deeper. I scan the water, finding him drifting a few feet from me. I kick hard, forcing myself forward as I reach for him. I wrap an arm round his chest, my lungs screaming at me for air. When my feet find the tunnel floor, I push off it with shaking legs. We cut through the water, heading for the open grate above. I kick with every bit of fight I can find, keeping my eyes on the sky above. My hand reaches blindly for the lip of the grate, fumbling for something to hold on to. With lungs burning in silent protest, I'm tempted to drop the enforcer and climb to freedom. But my slippery fingers curl round the ledge before I heave us upwards. My head breaks through the surface, and I don't waste a second before gulping down air. With one hand now clutching his arm, I use the other to pull myself onto the street. Then I lie on my stomach, hooking both arms under his shoulders, and pull him upwards. His head bobs above the surface, his eyes closed and hair tousled like running ink. I grunt with the effort of trying to lift his upper body onto the street. Only now can I see what it is he brought with him into the sewer. A chain jangles round his neck, practically choking him. I pull it off, not giving it another thought as I toss it aside to continue pulling him up, inch by inch. I'm panting before half his body is even lying on the cobblestones, the other half still soaking in the sewer. It's a struggle to flip him onto his back, but I somehow manage to roll him over. His head lolls to the side, eyes closed against the setting sun. I wait for something to happen. Anything at all. But he's not breathing. He's doing nothing but dying. Is that not what I wanted? No, I mutter. No, I didn't dive back in there for you to die. I pat his face. I pat harder. Then I'm slapping him like I've always said I would. Nothing. No. No! My hands find the center of his chest and begin pumping, begin trying to purge him of the water he's swallowed. Come on, Azar, I whisper. My vision has gone blurry, but I don't bother to recognize the tears welling in my eyes. Don't be dramatic, I order. Open your damn eyes. I'm pushing hard on his chest, pleading with him. How pathetic. I don't know why I care. This is exactly what I should want. To have tried my best and still be free of him. This is the ideal situation. I can walk away from this moment without guilt dragging me back to it for the rest of my life. So why am I fighting back tears? Come on, I whisper, continuing my rhythmic pumping. Come on, you stubborn bastard! His eyelids flutter open. I jump away from him, giving him room to turn and retch. A tear rolls down my face as I laugh shakily, relief flooding every bit of my strained body. I almost gave up on you. He drags himself fully over the grate, breathing heavily at the sky. His head turns to the side, eyes studying me intensely. He coughs before choking out, "I'm shocked you even bothered to try." I nod slowly, allowing what I've done to settle in. It's a regret I'll have to live with. We watch each other, his gray eyes unwavering. It feels different, this look. The look of two people who now share another secret. Nothing has changed between us, and yet nothing will ever be the same again. The things death made us say, the kiss we shared thinking it was our last, can never be undone. I've already failed twice at resisting him, and I won't let it happen again. Hopefully. He is my enemy, my captor, my escort towards death. I will not let him also be my weakness. Not again. "Thank you," he murmurs, voice gruff. "You never cease to surprise me." "Apparently, neither do you," I say softly, fingers brushing my lips subconsciously. His smile is swift, distracting one moment, then gone the next. I look away, feeling annoyingly bashful. Wet hair is plastered across my face, and I take my time wringing out the strands. I ignore the very tangible feel of his gaze on me and focus instead on calming my breathing, stilling my shaking body. I hesitate before lying down beside him. "Thank you, too." My voice is quiet. I fold my hands over my stomach, feeling suddenly conscious of the fact that I could easily reach out and touch him. "You saved me first." He gives me a weak laugh. "I'm shocked you even admitted that." I roll my eyes at the pink clouds above us. Then I sigh, spinning the slippery ring on my thumb. Lenny would be calling me a cockroach if he were here. "A cockroach?" He turns his head to look at me. "I mean, I've been called far worse, but—" "I'm sure you have," I cut in, "specifically by me." His laugh is tired. "That I have." I'm quiet for a moment, content to feel him watch me as I stare at the sky above. He says I somehow always manage to survive. Lenny, that is. Though I'm still deciding whether that's a gift or a curse. He hums. "If I were a different man, a better man, I might tell you that surviving is always a gift. But," he chuckles darkly, "you and I both know that I'm not. And that I know better than most that surviving is sometimes more painful than death." I nod slowly. Of course he would understand. He always does. I am glad I survived this time, though. That was not how I'd planned on dying. There's a serious sort of humor coating his voice. "You've planned your death?" "I've planned my ideal death," I shrug. I was born to die. And when you spend your whole life running from the inevitable, you think a lot about the end. I guess you could say I have a preference. He's silent for several heartbeats. "And what preference would that be?" "What, taking notes for when the king orders you to kill me?" I laugh lightly, as though the thought hasn't kept me up at night. But I rush on, not waiting for his response. I want an end like those I loved most. Stabbed through the chest with a smile on my face. "Peyton," he starts softly. "That's what I want," I say flatly. I want to feel what they felt. I want to feel like I'm with them one last time while I'm still alive. "That's admirable in its own twisted way." He's quiet for a moment, contemplating something. "And I'm sorry I was the first to start that pattern." I'm suddenly sitting up, turning away from him. I wish he hadn't said that. Hadn't apologized for being the first to stab someone I loved. I wish he had known it was my father who was his first mission. I wish she had lied. It would make hating him so much easier. Do you have a preference in how you die? I ask, avoiding his apology. I've never thought about it. I snort. Of course you haven't. Because people like you don't expect to die anytime soon. Maybe, he says softly. Or maybe I'm just trying to ignore the fact that I'm not immortal. How very wise of you, Enforcer. I wring out my hair one last time as I scan the alleyway we've crawled into. It's shadowy now, helping to hide us in the dying light. We're tucked into the corner of a dead end, the sewer grate still open at our feet. But even with the streets being slowly abandoned for the evening, I still have no intention of sitting here in plain sight of anyone who happens by this alley. It's not safe here, I start. Those guards will be looking for us. Are we going to talk about it? He asks, suddenly seeming much closer to me. He's sitting up now, combing back damp hair with his fingers. I have no idea what you're referring to. A cocky laugh. Is that so? I could remind you, if you like. It was a mistake, I huff, turning to look into his face that is far too close. This one and the one before. The only mistake was not making it sooner. I'm stuttering. He smiles in that way that makes me want to slap him. Then he's inching closer, slowly stealing the small space that separates us. No. His fingers trail up my neck to trace my jaw. The mistake was tasting you, now that you likely won't let me do it again. I swallow, shudder, suck in a breath. Plagues help me. His face is close enough for me to make a bad decision with little effort. Rough fingers are tangled in my hair, brushing the sensitive skin on my neck. Water drips from the tips of his hair, clinging to thick lashes surrounding the eyes staring heatedly into mine. You're right, I say breathlessly. I won't let you kiss me again. Lie. I'm leaning in with every word falling from the lips that desperately want to meet his again. The corner of his mouth lifts, drawing my attention. Are you sure about that? His breath is warm, filling me with heat. I nod absent-mindedly, my thoughts on anything but keeping my word. A calloused hand is cupping my face, rougher than the reverence in which he held me earlier. I melt into his touch, leaning closer as his eyes drift to my lips. It's intoxicating, watching him drink me in. He inches closer, his hand roaming down my neck. My breath catches as his lips brush mine and something clamps round my ankle with a click. I pull away, looking down to see the metal chain he brought out of the sewer with him. A single ankle cuff occupies each end of the 3-foot chain, and he's just fastened one of them to me. What the hell? I haven't even finished spewing the rest of my profanity before he's clamping the other end of the chain to his own ankle. My eyes drift from his end to mine, blinking at the short length tethering us together. When I find my voice, it's deceptively calm. What did you do? I just ensured that my mission makes it back to Ilya with me. I blink at him, at the blank expression he's plastered onto his face. You chained us together? He shrugs. It was the only way to ensure you'd stay with me. And you... My mind reels as I drag my fingers through my hair. You planned this before we even left the prison. That's why you took this chain from the wall. I shake my head, scoffing as I turn away from him. You bastard! I feel sick. I feel used. I feel at fault for this. Because I did this to myself. Not only did I save the enforcer, but I also let myself want him. But it was nothing more than distraction to the prince. A means to an end. And I was stupid enough to think it could have meant anything more. The pathetic are punished, and now I'm chained to my captor. Payton, don't. I cut in quietly. Don't say my name. Hurt flashes in his eyes, there one blink, and gone the next. It was the only way, he repeats quietly. Your mission needs a bath, I say flatly, and a bed. He stares at me, seeming to search for something in my eyes. Okay. I stand to my feet and walk on shaky legs until the chain grows taut. It tugs at my ankle, already tempting to tear skin. I strain to take another step, yanking at his leg. I turn around, pulling on a mask of my own to smother my anger and hurt. Try to keep up, Prince.
Chapter 28. Kai. Are you planning to ever speak again? We've been walking awkwardly through the city's back streets for nearly an hour now, and she hasn't uttered a single word. The chain drags between us, skipping over cracked cobblestone as a constant reminder of what I've done. I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud of what I did to get that shackle on her ankle. I can only imagine what she aches to scream at me. What thoughts are echoing in her skull. I know how she thinks, so I know that she assumes it was all a ploy. Every touch, every word, every kiss. And I wish it was. I wish I didn't have feelings clouding my focus, my judgment. Wish I didn't need her like I need to complete this mission. It's exhausting. Fighting every impulse telling me to explain why I did this, why I have to do this. My life is not my own, and for that reason she can never be mine. As if it would matter. I've broken any and all trust that was built between us, and now I'm nothing more than what I'd been before. She silently led me to where her pack was still hidden, beneath the rubble of a crumbling building, and swiftly pulled a scarf from within it to wrap around her identifiable hair. I pulled a damp bandana from my pocket to tie around the lower half of my face, reminding her that we're both in danger if one of us is recognized. She didn't deign to respond to that veiled threat, and simply swung the pack onto her back and gestured for me to lead her towards a bath and bed. And that's exactly what I've been doing for the past hour. Thankfully, most of what we were swimming with in the sewer was freezing water used to flush the tunnel down, but we are in desperate need of a bath and fresh clothes, both of which will prove difficult with this chain shackling us together. But first, we find somewhere with a tub. I can't imagine you lasting much longer without saying anything. I sigh. The chain drags between us, scraping the ground to fill the silence. She doesn't look at me. Her eyes are on the bare street before us, sparkling blue in the final rays of sunlight. I suppose I deserve her silence, although, to her credit, I didn't think it would last this long. I turn us down a busier street, feeling the shackle bite into my ankle with the tension. Merchants are packing up their carts for the night, unashamedly running over the toes of anyone in their way. I head for the main market, feeling the chain tighten as I pull Peyton, forcing her to pick up the pace. The chain. I stop abruptly, feeling her palms meet my back before her nose can. Turning to face her, she seems to be looking anywhere but at me. By now, I've lost my patience, as per usual. My hand finds her jaw, gently turning her face towards mine. She smothers me with a stare that I do my best to ignore. You're going to need to steal a skirt. Her brows raise, the first sign of emotion I've seen from her since we left the grate. Don't worry, I say dryly. I'm not asking you to talk. Just steal a damn scrap of fabric at the very least. I'd like to see you try, actually. She tugs my hand away from her jaw, seemingly surprised by the sound of her voice. I crack a smile. She speaks. Ignoring me, she throws her hands up in a mock innocence. I've put my thieving days behind me. I shake my head before glancing over my shoulder at the dying street. Yes, you're a saint. Now, unless you want to end up in a prison again, I suggest stealing something to cover up the chain that will draw plenty of attention to us. And whose fault is that? She asks, crossing her arms. You are, I say, taking a breath before continuing, an unbelievably difficult creature. She laughs harshly. Maybe you should have considered that before chaining yourself to me. Yes, what a complete oversight on my part. I step aside, giving her clear view of the street. Now, go show me what you can do. I already have, Prince, she huffs, pushing past me. When I stole from you, remember? Oh, I remember. I trail behind her, watching as she peeks her head round the corner of the alley. I move to step behind her before her hands find my chest, pushing me back without bothering to glance at me. I'm not used to taking orders, let alone being shoved aside. But I roll my neck, swallow my pride, and take a step back to lean against the wall and watch her work. Several carts rumble by the mouth of the alley we're standing in, but she stays still, not wanting what they're selling. After several minutes, I see her shoulders tense, her body lean forward in anticipation. And then I see why. When the next cart passes by, she doesn't hesitate before stumbling into it. With flailing arms, she knocks a pile of colorful skirts onto the ground. If I'd blinked, I would have missed the subtle kick as she tucks a skirt beneath the cart. I'm so sorry, sir. Her voice has jumped an octave, sounding innocent and ignorant. The merchant swears before looking up to identify the culprit. I fight the urge to break the man's jaw when his gaze softens with each second spent greedily running his eyes over her. My fault, miss, he says silkily, moving to brace a hand on her shoulder. Are you all right? That was quite the tumble. Much better now, thank you. My eyes roll involuntarily. She bends to pick up the pile of skirts before placing them back onto his cart. I'm just so embarrassed. No need to be, my dear. His hand is back on her shoulder, and I'm considering breaking it. Say, if you're not busy right now. She's occupied, actually. Damn it. I just couldn't keep my mouth shut, could I? The merchant's eyes meet mine, as though noticing me for the first time. He doesn't bother responding, only offering a curt nod of understanding. With one last lingering look at Peyton, he turns to continue pushing his cart down the street, oblivious to the skirt he's left behind. Peyton quickly snatches the cloth from the ground before the man has a chance to turn around and see it. Then she steps back into the alley, raising an eyebrow at me. What? I grind out. She snorts. Possessive, are we? I change you to me. What do you think? She ducks her head, smothering a smile as she begins unfolding the skirt. Lucky for us, the styles endure consist of breathable cloth made to wrap around the body. The skirt is nothing more than a large sheet of fabric adorned with a tie, making it easy for Peyton to fasten on over her thin pants. There, she mumbles. I'd give you a spin, but I'm afraid the chain won't allow it. I skim my eyes over her, taking in the hem of the skirt that pulls around her feet to cover part of the chain. Much better, I say, stepping around her to examine further. That's a great color on you. I can barely get the words out without laughing. The skirt is dyed an atrocious shade of yellow, clashing with her tattered green vest and tan skin. You're hilarious, really. Her dull expression matches her voice. I'm glad I can amuse you. I run a hand down my face, attempting to wipe the stupid grin from it. Then I'm crouching in front of her, glancing up at her in question. May I? Funny enough, those are the exact words I uttered before ripping the skirt of the dress she wore to the interviews, though I'm not planning to repeat history at the moment. I push the skirt aside to pick up her boot. I hear the beginnings of a protest before I start wrapping the excess chain around her ankle. She quiets, watching as the length of links shrink between us until only a foot remains. I stand, dropping the flowy skirt to let it drape over the rest of the chain still separating us. There, I sigh. It's hardly noticeable, but You're gonna have to walk very close to me. Maybe put your arm in mine. Convince everyone we're a couple. Her brows fly up her forehead. Think you can handle that? Do I have a choice? She huffs. Good point. I nod. All right, let's go. She lurches forward when I take a shallow step. Easy, Azar, she hisses close to my ear. The arm she folds round mine grows tighter in silent warning. I'm wearing a hideous skirt and an ankle chain. Don't push it. I pat her arm with my other hand, taking slow steps onto the street. I wouldn't dream of it, Gray. Saying her last name only reminds me that she doesn't want me to say her first. It hurt, losing that privilege, losing the right to something as intimate as her name rolling off my tongue. But I will respect her wish, keeping her name trapped in the confines of my mind. After several stumbling steps, we find a familiar rhythm, our feet falling in time together. Merchants hurry past, paying us no mind as they rush home for the night. It's not long before the street is eerily empty, and Peyton is untucking her arm from mine. The sun has slipped behind crumbling buildings, sinking down the horizon to sleep for the night. We walk silently through the shadows, following the street until a rundown inn towers over us. I place a light hand on her lower back, guiding her towards the building. Welcome to your bed and bath. Chapter 29. Kai. Door's finest, I'm sure? She sounds serious, as though this is the best Door has to offer, and I don't disagree. I lead Peyton around the edge of the building to the line of windows accompanying the room inside. After already being captured once, I've determined that our safest option is to sneak into a room rather than show our faces to the innkeeper. I test each of the windows, searching for one that may be unlocked. When one lifts easily, I peek my head in to find luggage scattering the floor. Occupied, I whisper to Peyton, who's standing on her toes in an attempt to see inside. We continue to the back of the building, pulling at latches until another slides open. I thank the plague under my breath before turning to a wide-eyed Peyton. Empty. She flashes a smile that's gone too quickly, reaching for her foot to unravel the excess chain from around her ankle. When I look up, it's into widening blue eyes. I'm not proposing. Don't worry. I murmur. Step on my leg. I'll give you a boost. Right, she mutters, looking away quickly. Is the chain long enough? Probably not. I shrug slightly. I'll figure it out. She nods before placing a dirty boot on my thigh. Gripping the window ledge, she begins pulling herself up with shaky arms. I place a hand under her thigh while the other pushes at her lower back. Watch it, Azar. I hear her whisper sharply from above me. I smile. Gentlemen, remember? I'm simply helping you break into this inn. How very noble. She manages to drag herself over the sill and into the room beyond. The chain pulls taut before I have a chance to catch my breath. My leg is yanked upward, forcing me to jump and ungracefully grab the ledge. It's a struggle to pull myself into the room with the chain tangled and taut between us, but I manage to make it inside fairly unscathed. I've toppled onto the creaky floor, ankle throbbing. She peers down at me in the darkness, her expression smug. Was that you figuring it out? Because it looked like it hurt. Like hell. I sit up, slowly, running a hand through my messy hair. Thanks for your concern. She smiles, stepping toward the bathroom until the chain is yanking my leg in her direction. I was promised a bath. She frowns at where I still sit on the floor. Must I drag your ass all the way to the tub? By all means. I flash her a smile. Go ahead and try. She tosses her pack onto the floor, glaring at me as she unravels the wrap from around her face. Silver hair slips from the scarf, tumbling towards her waist. My eyes trail up the length of it before meeting her piercing gaze. I loathe you, she says simply. I blink. Thanks for the reminder. I just want to make that very clear in case something happened that made you think differently. I duck my head to shake it at the floor. Like you kissing me? Just so we're clear, she takes a step closer, pointing an accusing finger at me. You kissed me. A pause. The first time. And then you kissed me. The second time. I say, standing to take a slow step towards her, clearing the space between us in a single stride. And I think you loathe yourself for wanting to do it again. She huffs dismissively, turning away from me. And what makes you think I have any desire to do it again? I shrug. You've already done it twice. So look at me and tell me you won't again. She opens her mouth to do just that, but I cut her off with a tug of the chain that has her tripping closer. Without tapping your left foot. Her mouth snaps shut. I smile at the rare side of her flustered. I'm not doing this with you, she huffs, turning towards the washroom. I want my bath. I'm still smiling as she leads me to the rotting door separating us from the tub inside. She spins, jabbing a finger into my chest. You're staying out here. Then she's pushing the door open to peer around the corner. The chain should reach if you sit outside the door. How fortunate. That earns me a swift backhand to the gut. She steps into the closet, dragging the chain under the door. Sit, she orders, giving me a stern look before swinging the door partially shut. I obey, sitting in the warped doorframe with wood poking into my back. I struggle to ignore the sound of damp clothes hitting the floor. So, being the gentleman that I am, I trace the grooves in the wood, attempting to occupy my thoughts with anything but her. I pause at the sound of her muttering. Everything all right in there? Other than the fact that I'm trying to bathe the chain around my ankle? She continues her mumbling, momentarily distracted. I'm going to have to wash these pants with the rest of me, since they're not coming off anytime soon. I think I have an extra shirt in my pack. The sound of sputtering water and creaking pipes drowns out her words. This must be the only inn in all of Dor with running water. Maybe this really is their finest. I hear her splash into the tub, the action pulling my leg halfway into the closet. Silence stretches between us, only interrupted by the occasional sound of sloshing water. I can hear your teeth chattering from here. Yeah, well, the water isn't exactly warm, she grinds out. I don't contemplate my next words before asking them. Why did you dive back into the sewer for me? I can't see her face, but it's not difficult to picture the look of surprise that is likely lighting it. I couldn't let myself take another life. Her voice grows softer with each word. I have enough blood on my hands. Your fingertips, maybe, but not your hands, I say evenly. 3 lives are hardly enough to stay your soul. I would know. You found the soldier in the desert then? She says slowly. I did. Though, I figured he deserved it. Water sloshes from behind the door. That's what I keep telling myself. But it doesn't seem fair for one to decide their life is worth more than another's. I hear her take a shaky breath. And that is exactly what I did. I know the feeling, I murmur. She's quiet for several slow heartbeats. I was on the roof, you know. Watched you find the Imperial I killed. My breath catches. Swallowing, I attempt to keep my voice steady. Really? Then why am I still alive? Because... A breath. Because you are going to bury him for me. Just like you had had with Sadie in that first trial. And seeing you kneel there, seeing you carry that man over your shoulder for me despite everything. She trails off, clearing her throat. I just couldn't bring myself to throw that knife. I can't see her face, and a timid part of myself is thankful for it. You could have been free of me twice now. You know that, don't you? Her voice is small. I know. Do you regret it? My question silences her for several seconds before she whispers, I'll regret it in the morning. The sound of my words to her in the dungeon has a slight smile tugging at my lips. I shut my eyes, content to let silence stretch between us. It's not long before she's standing in the tub, leaving me to listen to the sound of water dripping from her body. Would you like to grab the shirt from my pack and throw it in here? The idea of refusing is rather tempting, but I reach for her pack instead. I had already emptied it of the numerous weapons she'd stashed in there, leaving it mostly unoccupied. I dig around until I find a thin, gray shirt wrapped tightly around a worn notebook. Pulling both out, I untangle the swaddled journal before thumbing through the tattered pages. What's this book in here? I ask as I toss the shirt through the cracked door. She's standing right outside the door now, her shadow painting the floor beside me. It was my father's, mostly filled with the work and theories of a healer. I can hear the hurt in her voice, however hard she tries to hide it, and I hate that I'm the cause of it. When I can't find my voice, she speaks instead. Yeah, I saved it from the house you burned to the ground. She says it lightly, as though unaffected by the event. About that, I start, running a hand through my hair. Don't say you're sorry, please. When she speaks next, her voice is soft, delicate. It's easier that way. I nod, knowing she can't see it, knowing exactly what she means, knowing that apologizing for what I've done to her only makes me more human, makes it harder for her to hate me. The door creaks open as she steps through it. The loose shirt hangs off her shoulder, growing damp from the tangle of wet hair falling down her back. With a frayed towel in hand, she steps back into the bedroom to dry her sopping pants. After thoroughly wringing out her clothing, she wraps herself in the towel and plops down in the doorframe. Your turn.
Chapter 30. Payton. I'm braiding my hair when he walks out of the bathroom. Walks out of the bathroom, shirtless. A strand of hair slips from between my fingers. I scramble to my feet, looking anywhere but at the tanned chest and damp pants hanging low on his hips. Beads of water are dripping from his hair to roll down his shoulders, trailing towards the body beneath. Not that I noticed. Do you ever have a shirt on? I say casually, eyes on the braid I'm fumbling with. I washed it, so it needs to dry. Gray's eyes flick up to mine. If I'm distracting you, by all means, let me know. I scoff as though that isn't exactly what he's doing. Heading across the room, he's forced to follow until I plop down onto the thin mattress. He towers over me, illuminated only by moonlight streaming through the window, aggressively tussling his wet hair with a towel. You're dripping water on my bed, I say, scooting farther across the mattress. He looks up at me from under the towel. I'm sorry, your bed? Yes, my bed. No, I heard you, he says simply. I'm just trying to understand why you're saying that. Because I'm not sleeping with you. He gives me a look, to which I quickly rephrase, I'm not sleeping in this bed with you. He's making no effort to hide how humorous he finds this. And why is that? It's not as though we haven't shared a bed before. So you keep reminding me. I turn my attention back to the neglected braid. Yes, before. Before every bit of betrayal that was brought between us. Well, you don't have much of a choice. He nods to the chain hanging limply between us. You could hang your head off the other side of the bed, I say sweetly. Why don't you, seeing that you're the one who's so desperate to get away from me? He takes a step closer to the bed, his knees brushing the quilt. I have no problem sleeping beside you. I shake my head in annoyance, shifting to the other side of the bed that is suddenly too narrow for my liking. The mattress sinks when he sits beside me. Ignoring him, I take my time untucking the thin quilt and slipping beneath it to burrow in the covers. It's freezing, the frigid air tempting my teeth to chatter. I'm not sure when it suddenly got so cold, but the damp hair sticking to my neck certainly isn't helping. I pull the quilt over my chin before shoving my icy hands beneath each thigh. You're shaking the bed, he says quietly. And you're more than welcome to roll off it if it's bothering you so much. I can hear the smile in his voice. You've been shivering since your bath. You say that as though you care for my well-being. The chain clanks loudly when I shift onto my side and peer into the darkness. No, but I care for my well-being, and I'd rather not be kept up all night by you shivering. Spoken like a true gentleman, I scoff. We fall silent, nothing but the faint chattering of my teeth to fill the space. He stills beside me, so much so that I assume he's fallen asleep. That is, until the mattress sinks behind my back, and I practically roll into him. What the hell are you? His chest meets my back. I try again. What the hell? Shh. My mouth falls open. I'm waiting for a better explanation than that. Easy, Gray. A hand brushes my hip, making me jump against him. I can't sleep with you shaking the bed, and you can't sleep when you're freezing. This is the best for both of us. Is it really? I start. Because Plagues, he chuckles against my ear. Just pretend. Pretend not to hate each other in these moments, remember? I open my mouth to object, but the arm he circles round my waist has me snapping it shut. All this means is that we're useful to one another. I stiffen slightly against him. Useful to one another. The sentence stings more than it should. I hate myself for hating how it sounds rolling off his tongue, because useful is the extent of our relationship, the most we will ever mean to each other. Fine, I say, annoyed at the sound of my voice quivering. Pretend. With that, I allow myself to melt into his warmth when he pulls me closer. I'm tangled in his arms and wrapped in the chain tethering us together. I blink in the hazy sunlight streaming through the window, feeling the warmth of it coat my face. His arm is warm against my cheek, fingers peeking from beneath my unraveling hair. I can feel his deep breath stirring my hair, warming my neck. He's comfortable. He's content. He's pretending. The thought has me untangling myself from him, starting with the arm slung snugly round my waist. Grabbing his wrist, I toss it behind me, not bothering to be gentle. Then I'm sitting up, pulling strands of my hair from his fingers. He stirs before quickly sitting up on his elbows. The quilt slips down his bare chest as he watches me with sleepy eyes, tracking each hand as I gather my hair over a shoulder. You missed a piece. I glance up at the sound of his gruff voice. Good morning to you, too. I run a hand over my neck, finding the forgotten strand falling down my back. He watches me while I pretend not to feel his gaze traveling over my face. What now? I ask distractedly. Time to drag me back out onto the desert? The thought of returning to Ilya bleeds into an equally bleak one, and my heart aches at the sudden reminder of my selfishness. I've been so caught up in the enforcer who holds my fate in his hands that I have yet to spare a thought for my friends, the mixes living in squalor. I worry for Lenny, Lena, Finn, and every other soul who was kind enough to help me, believe me. please be safe. Please. If I knew who or what to pray to, I would have. Not quite. The bed shifts as he stands to his feet, forcing me up as well. He walks over to the washroom, stepping inside to grab his damp shirt from the tub. I'm not sure why I look away when he pulls it over his head, but the action feels far too intimate. We're going to cut through door, he says, stepping back into the closet, and then cross the Sanctuary of Souls. I let out a humorless laugh. The Sanctuary of Souls? The rocky terrain infested with bandits? I scoff. I think I'd prefer the Scorches. His voice is slightly muffled by the cracked door. Father sent me out there plenty of times. We'll be fine. I swallow at the reminder of his torturous training. Well, were you chained up last time you visited? He's silent for several seconds. I was always challenged when I was out there. More silence. So, like I said, we'll be fine. When he steps out of the washroom, he's carrying a bundle of clothing in his arms, intending to dump them on the floor for the innkeeper to find. A flash of familiar olive green catches my eye, and I snatch the vest from his grasp. Not this, I snap. His brows lift at my tone. A silent question. Adina made it for me, I say quietly, clearing my throat self-consciously. I made a promise to her. He nods slowly, seemingly hesitant. The final trial, I saw it happen. Saw you hold her. A muscle ticks in his cheek. Heard you scream. I look away, feeling the emotion begin to pool in my eyes. She made me promise to wear it for her. I run a hand over the rough hem, and I plan on doing just that. Clearing my throat, I shrug the vest over my shoulders. I hate the way he's watching me, like he's ready to collect the pieces when I inevitably break. He sighs through his nose, opening his mouth to say. A loud bang at the door cuts him off. Hey, who's in there? The man pounds at the locked door, rattling the rusty hinges. Kai nods to the window, his eyes still fixed on the door. I step lightly towards our escape, while wrapping the scarf round my head, shoving the silver strands of hair into it. When we reach the window, I'm slipping on my boots and quickly throwing a leg over the sill before the rest of my body follows. Kai is right behind me, jumping from the sill as I hear the door burst open. Oi! Get back here, you bastards! We scramble from the scene on sleepy limbs. I'm tripping, trying to wrap the skirt round me while Kai flings our dirty clothes behind us. A laugh climbs up my throat before spilling from my mouth. The prince glances over at me, and I catch his smile before he pulls the bandana over his face. I hear him chuckle as we duck into an alley, dodging rolling carts and swearing merchants. Stop them! I whip my head around, spotting what can only be the innkeeper. His face is red and splotchy with rage as he charges after us, pointing a thick finger in our direction. Stop those two! The sight of him only makes me laugh harder, while the sound of that only makes Kai's smile widen beneath the bandana. I squint in the rays of the rising sun, narrowly avoiding those milling about the merchant street. This way! Kai calls over his shoulder, grabbing my hand to yank me down an alley. He snatches a large hat from a passing cart, a sloppy attempt at thievery. The merchant shouts after us as we cut through several more streets, the chains scraping the cobblestone beneath us. While I attempt to smother my laughter, I can't help but find this all very amusing, and I'm slightly concerned as to why. We need to lose him, Kai murmurs, after another shout echoes round the corner. I'm about to say something when he suddenly pulls me down the alleyway and pushes me against the crumbling wall. What are you? Pretend, Gray. He breathes, trapping me against the wall with his body. Before I get the chance to question him, he's untied my skirt with one hand and thrown it to the ground. I blink at the crumpled fabric at our feet before his hand is guiding my face back to his. I see the order in his eyes, the need for me to listen to him, just this once. So I don't push him away when his hand trails down my neck to lift the scarf from my head. Because this is pretend. This is a plan. He pulls the floppy hat onto my head, tucking my messy braid within it. Then he's leaning closer, pulling the bandana from his face. His free hand is tight on my hip, pushing my back against the wall. I take a quick breath when his head ducks beneath my jaw. The brush of his lips has me swallowing. His mouth moves lightly, trailing kisses across my skin. My breath catches when a hand cups my face to bend it towards him and away from the street. He moves slowly down my neck, his lips growing less hesitant as they follow the path of my jagged scar. Kai. My voice sounds breathy, though that wasn't at all what I intended. Pretend, he breathes against my skin, making me shiver. At the sound of approaching shouts and pounding footsteps, he pulls my head and the hat atop it down farther. His body is pressed against mine, face buried in my neck and hidden beneath the brim of this hideous hat I'm wearing. The group of men now on the hunt for us pass by without a step in our direction. We are nothing but a lovesick couple, after all. Just two lovers looking to be left alone. Lovers. The thought of others perceiving us as such has me swallowing. He's made it to the end of my scar, kissing the hollow of my collarbone. Any further down and his lips would find another scar etched over my heart, branding me till death. The thought has me pushing him away from me and stepping from his hold. He takes a step back, breathing heavily. Gray eyes crash into mine, swimming with an emotion I don't bother trying to decipher. After a long moment, he blinks, giving me a curt nod of approval. I feel my cheeks burning and pull the hat lower to shield myself from his piercing gaze. He watches as I dust the skirt off before wrapping it round my waist, giving time for my face to cool. Then he clears his throat before looping the chain several times round my ankle, closing the gap between us. Ready? He asks casually, as though I'd imagined the last 5 minutes. Fine. If he thinks nothing of it, neither do I. So I adjust my hat, nod curtly, and hook my arm through his.